Hello, and welcome to Social Workers Rise, where we inspire social workers to connect, expand their knowledge, and change more lives than they ever thought possible. We will talk everything social work on every level from micro to macro. We are going to hear stories of social workers who are doing big things, learn new skills, and most importantly, give you actionable steps to make a difference today. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. It is your host, Catherine here. So I'll be honest with you. I've been a little off my game on the podcast schedule this year. I've just had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of really great professional things going on. So more therapy clients, more speaking engagements, more events coming up with the Rise Directory. So a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And then also a lot of personally, emotionally challenging situations going on. So I've just been stretched very, very thin. And I'm still showing up here to give you the best that I can. So I just ask for your grace that I'm not here every week, but I try. I try my best. We're all human, and I appreciate all the love and the support that I've gotten from you guys. So today we're going to be talking about cognitive behavioral therapy. And this is our Clinical Thursdays, where I give you just a brief snapshot, a quick overview of clinical concepts, because I asked you, my audience, what it is that you want to learn more about in 2024. And this came up as the primary topic, right? Clinical subjects that you can use in your career today, right now. So last time I talked about our clinical interventions, I talked about how to know what your therapeutic modality is and how to respond to that question when you get asked it in an interview, because you will get asked this in an interview. So go back and listen to that episode. It is episode, where are we? 160. So make sure that you go back and check it out. Today, we're going to talk about cognitive behavioral therapy. So this specific modality is used all over the place. It's probably one of the most common and very effective forms of psychotherapy that really just hones in on the relationship between thoughts, feelings, and actions, right? So it's essentially based on the premise that our thoughts influence our emotions and behaviors, and that by really digging in and examining and identifying what the thought patterns are, we can really reduce that emotional distress and improve our actions, improve our well-being. This particular modality is not effective for everybody or all situations, right? As with every therapeutic modality, they have pros and cons and strengths and weaknesses, right? So this particular modality is really good if you are looking for something that is relatively quick, it's structured, it's goal-oriented, it has a focus on the present rather than the past. And it works really well because a lot of the times when we're seeing clients, we are time limited and they want us to have a specific goal in mind. And a lot of times these goals are going to be something that is important to the client. Well, it should always be important to the client, and also measurable, right? So that we're able to track, where it is when they started and where it is, when they're ending or as they're progressing. So just a quick side note, this is part of the bigger course that I created, the Clinical Essentials for the Future Therapist. There is an entire module on cognitive behavioral therapy. This podcast is just going to go over what it is. The module inside that course goes over how to specifically implement that with clients that you're seeing, right? So just as a brief overview, the key principles of CBT include what they call cognitive restructuring. Essentially, that's kind of looking at what it is that you're thinking about when an action happens or occurs. What is that thought process that contributes to either emotional distress or emotional wellness, right? Clients are able to recognize and hopefully replace any kind of dysfunctional distortions, is what they call them, or dysfunctional thoughts, and replace them with more balanced or more realistic thoughts to help change that emotional reaction. The other principle is behavioral activation, right? A lot of fancy words here, but what this really means is just recognizing and changing behaviors that are adding to emotional distress, right? So, for example, I have, or probably there are clients, there are people who uh, assume things, right? So I can assume that when my friend does not call me and does not text me back, that they must be mad at me about something. I must have done something wrong for them to not have called me back, right? This is an assumption that I'm making, and this causes me a lot of distress because now I'm worried and I'm upset and I'm crying. I'm wondering, what did I do? And I'm feeling guilty and I don't even know what happened. When in actuality, maybe they just lost their phone, or maybe they just didn't feel like talking, or maybe they're in class and can't call me back right away, right? Maybe they had a family emergency. I don't know. Maybe they're traveling, right? There's so many different things that could be the cause of that, that I'm really just making up this assumption that they're mad at me and they don't want to talk to me, right? So this would be able to help me really identify that dysfunctional thought and then reframe it into something that's going to be a lot less distressful and more productive, more helpful. The other thing that CBT does is it really emphasizes the skill building and teaching clients specific skills such as problem solving, communication, being able to relax, right? Mindfulness, just so that you can increase your resilience and you're really better equipped to cope with stressors and manage emotions, right? So, in conclusion, CBT is really used to treat a wide range of mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, post traumatic stress disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, eating disorders, substance use disorders. And it's really a lot of times considered to be the first line treatment because it can be effective and it can be implemented in a really relatively short time compared to other types of therapies. So, if you want to learn more about CBT and how to implement this with your clients and the different interventions that go into it, then I highly, highly encourage you to snag that course, The Clinical Essentials for the Future Therapist, because that is going to give you a lot of information about what you need and really increase your confidence in being able to implement this directly with your clients. So, if this was helpful, please go ahead and just text it to a friend. Share the knowledge. We are not about gatekeeping around here. Definitely follow me. I'm on Instagram, Social Workers Rise. And you can also sign up for the email list, which I will send out social work resources to you, cheat sheets. When you sign up, you automatically get a little freebie from me that will help with your clinical skills. So I hope that you'll be back next time. And that is it for today, my friend. Thank you for listening to another episode of Social Workers Rise. If you love this episode, be sure to subscribe and text this episode to a friend. If you want more, there are a few ways we can get to know each other and work together. First, definitely subscribe to the Friday resource email list. The link is in the show notes. And that's where you can learn more about the courses I offer, including Clinical Essentials for the Future Therapist and the Pulse Basics for Medical Social Workers. I'll also be sending out occasional tips and resources and other happenings within the social work industry. And for all your clinical supervision needs, be sure to visit risedirectory.com. This is a national directory of clinical supervisors for social workers, and we also provide free resources that you can use within your own clinical supervision. Lastly, if you have more individualized needs, I do offer coaching, individual consultations, and am available for public speaking engagements for social workers and change makers. Lastly, the boring legal stuff, but very important. The information in this podcast is not meant to be a supplement for therapy, professional advice, or clinical supervision. This content is provided as is solely for informational purposes. It is not legal, health, or safety advice. I am not advising you as a therapist. Organizations should engage their own experts to ensure any adopted measures are compliant with applicable laws and standards in their jurisdictions. The opinions expressed by individuals or organizations are their own and do not reflect the views or opinions of Social Workers Rise or Catherine Moore. References to specific products or organizations do not constitute any endorsement or recommendations by Social Workers Rise.